Ooh.
Ooh.
How
Hi.
are you?
Hold on, let me greet you properly. Good morning.
Hey, I dig it. I dig it.
I couldn't keep it going because my voice ain't quite as
Yeah,
nice as
just
yours.
off. You put it out there and then we end it.
Now, see, you supposed to love me. Don't be too honest.
No, I love the sacrifice, but at some point we should know when to turn the faucet off.
What? Listen, let me tell you something. I used to want to be a singer when I was a little girl, and the Lord said no. But what He did
Lord
give
said that
me
ain't
was a good gift of speech. So I speak
he did.
well. I got a good
And
talking
the
voice.
tone to your voice.
Man,
Yeah,
but the minute,
the
let
tone
me
to
tell
your
you.
voice is the tone to your voice is masterful.
Okay,
So
so
yeah.
so so answer me this then. If the tone is masterful, why can I not get it to harmonize or hold a key?
Harmony has nothing to do with your vocal ability as much as it is your ear. You have to sing
Oh.
back what you think you're hearing, and sometimes we hear something totally different from what's happening, and so we're not matching with what we're outputting. But it takes lessons. You actually have a voice. I think anybody can learn to sing,
Well, I
but
need to sign up somewhere because I feel like I can hear, this is what I love you. I feel like I can hear it right on key, but when it comes out my mouth,
so let me sing this to you.
okay.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, you have an ear. Ooh.
Ooh.
Almost. Ooh.
Ooh. Close?
Very close.
Sign me up. I'm gonna need a check for that, Major.
I.
Slow down, slow down. Oh, you know what? Let me just say this right out the bat. I really chased you down because I wanted to talk to you. I've been stalking you on
Your
Instagram.
those two DM messages, you literally copy them verbatim, and I don't know how if you know how many spammers there are
Yeah.
on social media, so it doesn't look real because I've talked to you, and it didn't sound like that was your voice. It seemed very generic, and I was like, they ain't gonna play me.
Yeah, he
They
gonna
ain't
get
gonna play.
you. It sounded like a bot, but it was me. I was like,
Yeah,
yo. And then for whatever reason, I had like two. First, I had two numbers on you, none of which worked. So I was like, I don't even have his
there's
number.
only one number, and if you've known me since high school, it's the same one.
I don't know how I got the wrong numbers, but I kept texting, but nobody was responding. So I was like, you know what, though? I'm going to track him down. So when my good girlfriend Takia said, hey, I said, okay, hold up. Get him
Yeah.
in the chokehold real
That's
quick.
crazy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
That's dope.
I wanted to talk to you because for so many reasons. Obviously, doing this woman to man series now, I started out doing woman to woman. And, DL was always like, how come chicks always talk? And I was like, listen, I'll talk to the fellas. I don't have no problem with it. As a matter of fact, to me, it gives me the opportunity to step outside of my defense mechanism. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
listen to what men are saying. And hopefully the people who watch and the people who hear this when it airs on the show will say, I get it now. Like I kind of understand it. And the reason is I don't know about you. I mean, obviously newly married. I guess you could say new. I think it's new until you hit like 10
Yeah, two and a
years.
half years is that
That's new.
call it what it is. It's married.
It's yeah. But I feel like being single, I've never been married. And I've been in a
which blows
gazillion.
my mind, which blows my mind because I am convinced you've been proposed to quite a few times. It does it would blow my mind otherwise.
I will say I have been proposed to. I think the timing
Yeah.
was bad. But I
Yeah.
feel like the universe is now punishing me like, no more proposals. No more for you. But I feel like we're in this space, Major, where I don't know if black men and black women, we seem to be doing this. And every time I get on social media, there are a group of women who are rah, 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 and then there's a group of men who are rah, rah, and I'm like, hey, but the one thing that I believe is constant is your steadiness right down the
Hmm.
middle of Black
Yeah.
love. And I said, I got to
Yeah.
talk to him. I got to talk to him to see from
Okay.
his vantage point, and again, I know you're out working, you're touring, you got, a new project, all of that. I think for me in this, we can talk about all of that, but I really want to talk to Major. I want to talk to the Major I met a gazillion years ago at DL's Christmas party, just so I can figure out your
Yeah.
perspective,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
heart. I just want to hear like from your heart, what you think is going on with us. What's happening?
Well, first things first, thank you for having me and congrats on your new endeavor. I know that sometimes it's a little um, nerve wracking. It's a little uneasy to pursue something brand new when you've been known for something that's more established.
Mm,
But I think that's what living is. I think that's what life really is. It's ever evolving, and you got to be ready for the new
gotta be ready.
if you really want to live in the fullness of what you're called to. So salute to you on this.
Thank
Um,
you.
uh, Shout out to Uncle DL for challenging you to go beyond the perspective.
And boy, does he
Just
challenge me.
you know what's crazy, and I think you know this well as I do. People just see him as being just this hard nosed. He's just tough and brittle, but he actually is a very compassionate person, and he's
Very much
always
so.
looking out for your greater good. And it's wild because he'll disrespect you while doing it, but you find out, oh, he's actually looking out for me. So salute to the disrespect and the compassion.
For sure.
um, but anyway, when you speak on that, you think that black men and black women are kind of missing each other. I think what's happening is that humanity is evolving in what it looks like categorically. We don't just have lanes of African American, white American, Spanish American, and this American and this American. It's now mixing. It's this crazy gumbo, and one of the realities that we have to accept is just as people tout this whole notion of black on black crime. Oh, it's so crazy. There's black on black crime. You're not getting mad at that, but it's really the what you commit crimes and commit um, connections. Everything is done within the vicinity of what your territory is.
Right.
Like, I mean, if I'm only around black people, I'm only going to probably connect with black people. If I'm also around white people, I'm going to connect with white people. And I don't think people realize that if that's your community, that's what you're going to connect with.
Right.
We think that people are supposed to be of a community. If that's what their community, if I grew up in the suburbs, I'm supposed to run and find the people that look like me when that's not natural to my current habitat. And so I think a lot of people that are, stricken by white people and, wanting to enjoy that, they're of those communities. They walk in those spaces, but I don't think that all the truth is being highlighted, because
Mm.
I do know a lot of black love. And
So
I
then
think
maybe
that
it's
that
maybe it's social media that amplifies. So maybe
yeah,
there are great things that exist, but because the thing that permeates, I think that realm of our attention is clickbaits, because we love a train wreck. So when we see these conversations that people make these great leaps in logic about black love is
right.
dead, and black women are terrible, we hate them, or black men are dog. And I think maybe it is, living in a vacuum of sorts. But I tell you what, it is
Absolutely.
irritating. It becomes so irritating. But that's why it is so refreshing. You are the same person that I met, the same energy, But the thing
Tell the
that
people,
it's
this
true.
isn't a facade. This is really
It's
me.
the exact same. At the Christmas parties when the stage was smaller, you would be all over that house. I mean, just jumping and the energy. And even if you weren't having a good time, I don't care who it was, people would come and they'd be standing in the corner sipping their drinks. By the time you were finished, we were all on the
Yeah,
floor. We
we
were
are.
dancing and singing
Yeah, yeah.
along. You are authentically that guy. You're that guy. You're the same guy.
I'm authentically Major, so that I think it is my real name.
Hmm.
And so that's the name my mama named me. She prayed that I'd make a major impact on the world. So I'm just leaning into this thing called purpose and life. I see people, I feel people, I connect with people. I even think that we may have, even at the Christmas party, may have had like a moment where it's like, how are you?
Yeah.
Nah, how are you? And
Yeah.
you're just like, is he is he asking me how I'm doing? Like how thoughtful, but it's like I literally connect to
You
people.
do.
And so I can't shake it. It is what it is. I'm an empath, you know, through and through. And my thing is I just think, which is something that you're doing, is we in life have to step outside of ourselves to give room and way for perspective beyond our own. And
Mm.
that's a very difficult thing in life because everybody's screaming to be heard. Everybody wants to be absolutely seen. And they think to get that, you have to be louder. And that's why the algorithm is embracing the loudness, because the
That makes
ones that are
perfect
doing
sense.
crazy are the loud ones, and loud often will get someone's attention. It
Yeah.
won't necessarily get their heart, but it'll get their attention.
But it will get
And
their
so,
attention. Mm.
yeah, and so the algorithm's going to keep playing with the thing that gets attention, because the algorithm isn't really moved by heart, because it's not an emotional thing. It's about attention thing. And so that's why we're seeing so much of the rigmarole, all of the extra stuff,
Yes.
because that's what gets our attention. And if you choose to quickly move from it, you're going to start being serviced the things that are really going to speak to the true you versus, the distracted you. So
You know,
it's
I will
wild how
say
it
this,
works.
what's interesting is you made a point about uh being honest with yourself and recognizing the truth in you, right? In terms of and the way I heard it was, what and DL says this all the time, whatever you're looking for is looking for you, right? And
That's
so I
it.
think
It's Rumi.
it's
He
true.
he he quoted Rumi, and
He
just
says it
so
all the
I can
time.
bust his bubble. I can bust his bubble.
He
He
said it all
quoted
the time.
Rumi.
But you know what?
Whatever you seek is seeking you. That he don't give him all the credit.
I won't. Matter of fact, I like to take a lot of credit from him because he be stealing some of my stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. It's all love. But the one thing that I will say that really made me get honest with myself, I noticed something about myself that I had never noticed before, that I had never would have never, ever, ever attributed to myself. But I love that as I am getting older, that I am being more honest and I'm sitting in it and owning it. And it is the most difficult thing. And one of the most difficult things that I had to acknowledge about myself. And it's not easy to say because nobody likes to hear the truth, but I am a bit of a narcissist. And I was like,
Mm.
and you always hear really bad things about it, but there's so many gradations of it, right? What as you've gotten older, what is one of the things that you had to acknowledge about yourself that was very difficult?
Ah, well, I tried to rename it as I'm an excellentist. I just want to be give the best that I can give. But I have a perfectionist, like I am a perfectionist through and through, where I aggressively push that on people. And it's not perfectionism based on what is perfect, it's based on what I think is perfect.
Mm.
And that's kind of selfish because and marriage helped me realize that, because
I bet
I
it
get in
did.
marriage, and what I want to clarify is the difference between committed relationships and marriage is that committed relationships, it's a commitment. Marriage is the commitment to the commitment. When you're in committed relationships, you're able to say, you know what, I need some time apart. And you can go your separate ways and then you can come back. But once you're married, you are committed to the commitment. So you're only, we need some time apart is probably a different room. Maybe you going to a different space in the room, but you have to stay in the ring. You can't just say, I got to go back to my dressing room or I
Right.
got to go back home and I'll come back and meet you at another time. So you're stuck having to face the real things. And I think my perfectionism is a sense of control. I have control issues that are tough. Like, and I didn't think, because I'm like, I can work with anybody, which I can, but I didn't realize that some people were like, all right, I'm gonna let you do it, Major, since you know how to do it. And I'm like, realizing that a lot of the stress and the pressure and the frustration has come because I'm moving in expecting just to do it all when I'm not making room for the help or just the fact that maybe everything's not going to get done in this moment. But
It's
for
interesting. I
me,
feel like a lot of people do that. I mean, obviously, you being a performer and a creative and an artist and all of those things, in the famous words of Erica Badu, I'm sensitive about my shit, right? So I
yeah,
would
yeah,
imagine for you, I think sometimes we give exception for that. Like we apply now, if you are in a position with another creative and they too are trying to, I don't know, helicopter manage a situation. Y'all both doing it, and I could see how it could be volatile. I do have a fear that now as I'm getting older and I'm trying my best not to be set in my ways because I said a long time ago I was going to stop saying that. Listen, I'm honey, the way my age, the way my body's set up, I'm this how I am. I said I was going to stop saying that because that's
yeah.
not always a good thing. Like just because you've been that way, don't mean it's right.
You
So
have to all, and it doesn't mean that that's the only way you can be. The thing is, we are the identity of what we've put into practice. Our reality is a conditioning. It is not a this is what it is. This is what it only is. This is what you've developed. And living what we don't give room to, living allows you to ever evolve. And if you're not evolving, you're depleting, and that's actually dying. And so
mm,
the if we want to lean into the living part of humanity, we have to make room for the change that can happen. Real talk, and I'm sorry we keep using him as an example, but he's a great example because there was a time that D.L. Hughley would not fully lean into the fact that he has a political insight that can really help people understand, our
look at
community
me leaning in
understand.
now. Look at me leaning in because
Yeah,
he still
and
feels that way.
I had a real I had a conversation with a group of us. We're all family. We're family. And I had a conversation. We're with a bunch of other folks, and I'm not gonna say everybody, because a lot of people yes him because he's such a strong personality. And me being a strong personality, I often get the yes too. I'm like, nah, you're more than that. I think what you have is going to help our community. It was when he was transitioning away from CNN and he's like, nah, they don't need me for that. And I said, no, that's your thing.
Yeah.
You have an ability to break down complex things from the political space and the community space and help us understand it as everyday people. That's your power. And Lady Hugh, I call it LaDonna,
LaDonna.
Lady Hugh was like, Lady Hugh was like, Major, that's it. That's what I've been trying to tell him. And everybody else is like, no, it's whatever deal. And I'm like, nah. That's what it is. And he's like, and he says, nephew, I love your naivete. Sure enough, we now know D.L. Hughley to be the voice of giving us a more accessible perspective. But had he locked into only, I can't be anything different, we would not fully see all of this. And y'all's empire, because what it's done is it's helped to build an empire that millions of people embrace. You as well. You probably aren't realizing how much you've opened up more and become more versed and dynamic in what you bring, but that comes with you attaching yourselves to other things that are evolving and knowing that you ain't going to be left out of it.
Right. Well, you
And
let me and
that's something that your narcissism that you
Mhm.
claim is serving you well on, because it's not going, your narcissism ain't going to let you be left behind.
Oh, of course not. Facts. But you know what? Let me say
And that's
this.
a powerful thing in a way.
It is. And let me say this. I'm going to totally agree with you, but push back just slightly because I think
Okay.
this is a great example for you as well. I think the universe knows and God knows some of the things that sometimes you shouldn't, which is why I believe
Oh,
often people who don't think they should be chosen are. And I think
yes. Oh,
if
yeah.
DL Hughley knew and was completely aware and sat in it with gumption, the power, the ability that he has that sometimes can be unparalleled when it comes to slicing through stuff and seeing it and then presenting it in a way. I think if he knew that power, he might wield it wrong, right? In the same way as I feel with you, you yourself also, even in all of your controlling, want to be in control, and I would imagine in sometimes an authoritative kind of manner. I think if you really knew the impact that you have had on people that you touch, on people that you've interacted with, I think sometimes without knowing and not in a malicious way, I think sometimes we can misuse that. There was a reason why Moses was chosen. He didn't think he should have been chosen. I don't speak well.
Oh,
They
better
won't listen.
preach.
I think that is there is I think there is a blessing sometimes in the covering. Do you know what I mean? And so
Absolutely.
and I
Absolutely.
think that's important to recognize. And I say that about you because one of the things that I admire about you, even though you done got big time, so I don't see you as often as I used to, but it's all good because I see the blessing that is happening and that you manifested. And I've watched you talk about how, everybody ain't gonna see it. And just because they don't see it doesn't mean it's not there and that you shouldn't believe in it. But I think you have a way in an industry that we both know is not kind. It's very difficult. And sometimes you can really, even when you are attached someone, whether it be a work husband or an in-life wife, you can feel all by yourself, right? But what
Oh,
you have
absolutely.
done is you have managed to have the courage to be extremely transparent and honest about when it hurts. About, yeah,
Woo.
it looks like this, but y'all don't know I've been crying all night, or y'all don't know
Yeah.
how many times they done said no. And then you say, but God. And to have the courage to say that when not a lot of people are doing it comes from somewhere. Where does it come from in you?
I mean, you just literally said, but God. It comes from my faith center. It comes from experience of knowing that the only constant has been the God of this universe, of the universe that is bigger than me, the God that is greater than me, the one that sees my beginning and my end before I even arrive to the finish. And I'm not saying that just to say something that is cliche. I've really seen it at work in my life when I doubted, when I started questioning my ability or my power or my strength. and how I was still delivered into a victory or a win in life, even when I doubted, even when I questioned. But then when I flipped it and decided to embrace the I believe, seeing the results being something I can truly enjoy more fully. It's one thing when you happen upon a thing, it's another thing when you've worked towards it and you arrive there.
Mm.
And I know what the two feel like. And I don't want to just live my life through a perpetual shock of, oh, it did
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that there is formula to arriving at these things, that if I continue to apply the lessons learned from the last time, I can actually get through it easier with less strife and struggle and less ego and all that other stuff, because I realize that it happens in due time. You were My faith center has literally, it's my hope conversation. I rock it because they call me the hope dealer. I got a new project called The Hope of My Soul. That EP is from real life experiences, because I know how my mindset of positivity has been paralyzed. I know when I'm paralyzed in spaces where people are like, oh my gosh, I have a song called Honest that
Mm.
literally got me my Grammy nomination. It says, um, uh, I've been trying to be perfection when broken is what makes us human. I
Mm.
just want to be honest. With all my faults, I may let you down. I just want to be honest. And it's like it's bringing my humanity back to the forefront and saying, okay, humanity is what God and his universe works with, not with anything else, not with me trying to present something that is unreal, because it's literally a facade that has no truth, that has no legs, that has no roots. But my humanity is the fullness of my truth. So that's my control issues, my lack of patience, my imposter syndrome.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I think many of us creatives wrestle with that imposter syndrome, and we didn't have a name for it for years. So we're just thinking, oh, that's just, I need to do better.
Yeah.
But we didn't
Don't let
know
them
that
find
this is,
out. Don't let them peek behind
yeah,
the
yeah,
curtain.
yeah. And I started questioning, Jasmine. I was questioning, like, do I do I belong here? Knowing good and well I done put work into this thing. I put work. You saw me, Christmas parties, you know, like, I put work, church. I put work into this thing. And
But
then I get to the space and I'm questioning if I belong there. That's some crazy stuff. That's
it's
a
crazy,
mind
but you know what?
pluck.
But I think the great thing is to have used the very formula that you spoke about, and that is
Yeah.
now taking those lessons. Because I do think that, you know, and I try not to sound like my mama and my grandmama when they say, "Oh, when my day," but there is some
Wisdom.
truth to it. There is wisdom, and that is, it wasn't easy. Like I never thought it was gonna be easy, but I certainly didn't think it was going to be quite this hard. And I didn't think people would be quite this mean. You said something that resonated so deep in my spirit on your social, on your, I think it was Instagram that I saw it. And you talked about how, nobody knows how many times you are told no, how you can know that what your value is. And because it's like shouting in the wind, no one is listening, no one understands the vision that you have, and nobody else sees it. And so really at the end of the day, all you're left with when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it is your hope that I can hang in there. The hope that somebody gonna have to see this, and the hope that what I know, my hope is built on nothing less. And I meant to tell you this
It's
now that I
built
said
on
that.
your hope has to be built. You just said it.
It
It's got to be built on something. It's got to be
it's
built on
got to be
something. It's got
built
to be
on
built on
something.
something.
And let me tell you something. This is very true. This morning, what I tend to do when I talk to people, because I want it to be as authentic as possible, because, I'm a Scorpio. I read people. I don't like to read Wikipedia and research. And it's not because I'm lazy. I am a true journalist. But I think there is some grit to when you're actually having a conversation with somebody and you're finding out more and more about who they are from them, not what somebody polished up and wrote, not from the accolades, because all that shit don't mean nothing. That doesn't say who you
Right.
are as a person, right? Because that stuff,
Right.
when people give it to you, they can take it from you, right? They can say, Grammy Award winning, then you won't see another one for 20 years. And now all of a sudden they want to
Yeah.
write you down in history as a one time, winner. Nah, so I don't do that. But in
Mm.
my prepping, what I do is I meditate on the person. I think about them. I wonder, if I could know, what would I like to know about Major? What is it that I want other people to know? Like, I open myself up to the universe. And when I thought about you early this morning, let me tell you what came to me. Now, let me be
Oh,
honest. I am not a Bible thumper. I used to go to church all the time when
you
I was a
know,
kid, like most
you
people.
done quoted enough
I
already.
know,
So you
but
ain't
let me listen. That's from when I was a kid. But you know how my grandmama said, "Well, you put it in
it,
there, it's hidden in your heart." I don't know what that little song was. Hide it in your
yeah,
heart. But
yeah,
this morning, I don't know why, but for you, my message, I promise, and it didn't even come to me as talk about this or say that, which is how it normally comes to me. For you, it came to me to give you a message. Now, I'm just going to tell you the way it came to me. I know it's a Bible verse, but it's not the whole thing. It's
yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's
I
all
just,
right.
it's so funny because I, it was just wait upon the Lord and be of good courage.
Yeah,
And that was it. And I was like, now, why would that? I ain't read the word in 40 years. I remember certain things, but for some reason, that just kept coming to me. Wait upon the Lord and be of good courage. Be of good courage. Be of good courage. And I kept saying, now, why am I hearing that? What does that mean?
yeah.
And so I don't know what that means, but that's all that kept coming to me. But when
You
I,
know
when,
what that means. You know what that means, Jasmine. Stop doing that.
but it wasn't for me, it was for you.
It was for me. You know what that meant. You know that you know that you can put it together. As much as Major encourages so many people, as much as Major is there for so many people, he too wrestles with this: when is it my turn? When
Mm,
is it ever going to fully happen? I do. Like, I put in a lot of work, man.
I see you.
Like, and I've served a lot of people while on this journey, making certain that their vision and their dream is fully realized. And I just recently tweeted this message about how gullible I've been in believing for people and being loyal to people at my own deficit. But that ain't the way God intended loyalty to be experienced. Anything that we're to experience is supposed to reciprocate the benefits. As I give, something is supposed to pour back into me.
Right.
And for me, I've been wondering, like, when is it going to happen that I'm going to be able to feel as much as I give? When is it going to happen when it's going to break? That wait on the Lord and be of good courage is an absolute God reminder that He hasn't forgotten, that it's all working together for the win. This ain't a plug, but it is. This project right here has 6 songs: The Hope of My Soul, I have a song called For the Win, for the WIN.
Mm.
It's connected to that Romans 8:28 scripture that is, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose and plan. That it all, nothing is wasted. That very much sits with everything you're speaking about on the wait on the Lord and be of good courage. Because I need to be reminded that
Mm.
beyond just me saying it, but others, people affirming me like, bro, it's going to happen. It's going to unfold. It is unfolding. And if only I can stay present and stop dragging along what hasn't happened or what is yet to happen, and or being anxious about what can be, and just sit in this present moment, I can realize, yo, it's actually working.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you, and I don't want you to ever to say I don't know. I don't even understand
Well,
the why.
let me
Cut
tell
the
you
crap,
why.
because you
But you know what
wiser than
though?
you giving yourself credit for.
But listen, this is why, and I think this is another important message that you do a good job of, but I think other people should take heed and be okay with being that way. I love social media for all that it has done in terms of allowing the truth of education, the truth of our history, the truth of who we are, the truth of things that we need to know that we otherwise would not have known about, because back in the day all you had was a phone tree. And the
Right, right.
phone tree typically was in your zip code. So you knew what was going on around the corner, but not around the world. But now
Yeah.
we have this thing with social media, and it can be good and it can be bad. The bad of that is you only know what someone has carefully curated for you to see. And I think what has happened is sometimes when we see people's social media, they look like they're happy all the time. Everything is great. So sometimes, now you know how the algorithm is set up. I got to go to your page to get a good balance of, oh wow, look at this truth that he's sharing. Look at this vulnerable moment. But the algorithm is not set that way. The algorithm is set to show you all of the fantastic, beautiful things so you can believe in this utopia that probably doesn't exist. So every time I see Major on my algorithm, happy, happy, joy, joy, everything is great. And so we can get caught up into believing that he doesn't struggle. He's finally made it. Everything is working out.
Oh
Everything is good.
no.
So that's why when I got it, I was like, wait on love, he a good courage. He is a good courage. Did you not see the post yesterday? But I think that feeds into the depression and anxiety of other people who feel as though, I haven't made it yet, or when is my turn? And they don't know that someone like you, who is, all of these accolades, and you've performed on a gazillion stages and in front of impressive and important people, and you're still in some ways waiting for your breakthrough.
Man, yo, because the breakthrough is it's never only singular. We live in life for perpetual breakthroughs, because it's literally like, you know, um, those like different levels on a game, like Mario, think Mario, like you break through one level, then you got to break through the next, and break through the next, and break through the next, and break through the next, until the full assignment is done, and then heaven is your home.
Mm.
um I Depression is very real. I think more of us creatives wrestle with depression than we speak about. A lot of people talk to me, so I can confidently say 99% of the folks we admire struggle with depression
Mm-hmm.
and also anxiety. And it is a very real thing. To the everyday folks that are watching this, I need you to know that you're not the only one. You are not the only one going through what you think you won't get through. But let me tell you, in this very moment, you are getting through it simply by choosing to take the next breath.
Mm.
It is life, and one thing I know about life is it's gonna life,
It's
and
gonna
it's gonna
life.
bring all of the stuff. And if you decide not to believe that, that's where the more of the struggle comes from. But if you accept that life is going to come with all of it, a gumbo of all of these experiences, you'll be able to do it a lot easier. Um, Jasmine, I really thank you for championing a platform. It makes sense that the administration of the United States of America would recognize you for all of the work that you do. And
Thank
I
you.
salute you for that. But these are the moments and the platforms that will eventually rise to the top of the algorithm and get around to help heal the world and help expose to the world that we're not alone in this thing.
I hope so. I really do. I think because for me, first of all, I'm a talker. I was born a talker. It was in my blood when I was a kid. But I feel as though, again, not to put all the perils of society on social media or even our phones, but I think we're we haven't lost the art of communication. But I think there is nothing better than having just regular conversations with no agenda, with no I got you, I'm going to get the truth. It's not even that. It's just reconnecting. My plan was I wanted to have honest, just good old fashioned conversations. Like, I'm from the country. Like, my grandparents used to do out up under the big oak tree in the front yard where everyone would come and we would talk about what's going on in your life and how are you feeling? Or, did you see what happened down there? It was really about community. And I think now that we have created this society of individuality and now everyone is out for themselves and they'll do anything for likes and anything to be seen. I think we find ourselves in a rat race of sorts. I want to be the first here. I want to be
Yeah,
here. I want all of this. And I'm like, but what happened to just checking in? What happened to, I know you're busy and you're working on this, that, and the other, but what happened to just, seeing how someone is doing and not for the sake of, oh, I hope 10,000 people watch this. Not that. I mean, obviously you hope that, but for a different reason. And my thing was, I want to talk to people that I know, people that I've met along my journey, people that I know just a little, and people that I've never met, just to be able to have the opportunity to do so. Because I think we are so much more than a song. I'm so
yeah,
much more than a voice who sits next to DL. You are so much more than Grammy award winning nominee, writer, producer, vocal coach, and performance. You're so much more than all of that. At the end of the day, you're somebody's son, you're somebody's husband.
yeah,
You are somebody's best friend, you're somebody's confidant, you're somebody's go-to. And so my thing was, I think all of those should outshine anything else because all the awards that you win one day, somebody will throw them away because they won't mean anything to them. Somebody will
right,
throw that
right.
away, but they'll always remember a song that you sang that made them feel a certain way or that got them
Yeah,
through something.
they may not remember everything you did, but they will
That's right.
remember how you feel.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and I salute you for helping people arrive to the feeling and being present with how they feel. Because honestly, there is no healing if you don't acknowledge what you're feeling. And that
Ooh,
fact, that is fact, that is
you
fact,
better preach
that is
on, Pastor. That's why they call
listen.
you the
This is
pastor.
yeah, I told my mama that at 3 that I wanted to be a international superstar and a pastor. And I think in an interesting way, I have moved in this pastoral role as an entertainer where I'm able to speak to the divides and speak to the humanity of everyday people, not just the choir that meets me on Sunday, but the everyday
I
people.
mean,
And I just ask that you pray for me on this journey. Um, this I keep speaking on it because it's my newest project, but this new EP, The Hope of My Soul, has a lot of conversation that I want to share with the world. And it wasn't just for what I want to give, it's also for what has been poured into me and is helping me. I'm being challenged every day to live the hope that I give. And Jasmine, I thank you for opening your platform to me. You know, woman to man,
Anytime.
I
Anytime.
salute you. Yeah, we got to do this again.
We have
I
to.
look forward to rocking with you. And as my sister Bevy Smith says, and I want you to embrace this. It does get greater later.
It does
It
get
does get
greater
later.
later. I'm gonna get me a t-shirt that says that. And then on the back
Yes,
it's gonna say
sir.
honestly. I'm just saying, listen, I thank you. I appreciate the time that you've taken to speak with me. I wish you nothing but success as I always
Thank
have.
you.
I knew the moment that I met you and I watched you work that room. I said, this dude right here gonna do something. Okay. So again, I
Yeah.
thank you. I'm super excited about the breakthrough that is coming for you. And I just hope you don't forget little old me.
Ah, cut
You
the
ain't gonna never
shits.
forget me,
Listen,
honey. I can tell you that
listen,
right
listen.
now.
Unforgettable.
Yes,
Listen, listen, Jasmine, call it out. It's called The Hope of My Soul. Say it
the
with me.
hope of
The
my
Hope
soul.
of My Soul. That
That's right.
EP is available everywhere, beautiful people. I promise you, it'll soundtrack you getting back to the win again. I love you. My name is Major. And on the Woman to Man podcast, I approve this message.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, baby. I will talk to you soon.
All right,
Oh,
about to
and
get into
vocal
another one.
lesson vocal lessons coming soon.
Oh, okay.
See,
All
this is
right.
why I love you, Major. This is why I love you. All right, baby. Take care.
Peace.